Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is Ari in the Air. Thanks for being here. I am back from the first comp of the season, the Applegate Open in Southern Oregon. Had a great time, learned a ton. First real comp on a two-liner, which is exciting. And I figured I would share with you some things about paragliding comps and gaggle flying. It's pretty interesting stuff. I think I can help you understand why you should or shouldn't do a paragliding comp and how to think about and fly in a gaggle to make us all faster. You ready? Here we go.
See ya.
Okay, so thanks for being here. Consider subscribing, sharing this video with your friends, and please become a patron on Patreon. A number of you have done that, and I really appreciate it. It's basically $5 a month. Buy me a beer after our monthly flying experience here on YouTube. So, first I'd love to tell you about why paragliding competitions are awesome and what's cool about them. So, there's a number of things. First of all, you get to fly a ton. I flew some 25 hours in 8 days. You also get to fly with really high-level pilots. That helps up your game. You also get to see the sky in a way that you've never seen it because you have 150 gliders in the sky, so you really see different thermals and you see how other people are flying, and it like really helps you get a map of what's going on. You also get to fly safely because you have a ride to launch, you have a retrieve team who's watching you all the time, you have a rescue team that'll get you out of a tree or take you to the hospital if you crash or any of these things, which is really super nice. And, you know, I think I paid $600 for the 8 days of flying, which is to have retrieve usually cost me $100 a day anyways, you know, so it's a good deal. It also helps you dial in your like flying kit and your flying process, like how you get ready every day and just your experience. You really just like get to go over that so many times that you really like get some muscle memory in it and get like a system more dialed, whether that's just your harness or just like your daily routine. And on top of all of that, I think that the best part of paragliding competitions is that it is literally like a lifestyle meditation. Because if you're going to paraglide for 8 days in a row, there's like all these different things that you have to balance. You have to balance, you know, you're flying, you're eating, you're drinking, you're socializing, you have to rest, you have to charge your stuff, you have to prepare your kit, you have to sleep. All of these things like need to be in balance. Like if you fly too much or you drink too much or you socialize too much, things start falling apart. So you really have to like kind of get into this rhythm. You have to find your rhythm and like respect it and care for yourself so that you can actually fly safe for 8 days in a row, right? And not just safe, but like excel, like fly well. So I find myself in a paragliding competition, I find myself like not using my cell phone or social media, or I just like am like in this routine where it's like this daily thing over and over where I get up and I have a nice breakfast and I like do my yoga or whatever it is in the morning and just like find myself in a nice like rhythm of life. And I really just get to focus on kind of caring for myself, really. It's like meeting my own needs so that I can fly, which is a really nice experience for 8 days. So I think that's the best part of a paragliding competition. And obviously it's easy to get sucked into like the score or winning or competition or like socializing or whatever it is. And so I think the best part of a paragliding competition for me is that it reminds me just to like meet my own needs and to like be sensitive to what I need and to care for myself and like to do the thing over and over and over and over and over. And that's really rad. So let's talk about gaggle flying for a second here. Okay, gaggle flying is so much fun, but it's also very nerve-wracking. I found that the first day that I launched into the gaggle, I was just like whoa, this is so much. It's like kind of overwhelming. But a couple days in, I just like find myself very at ease in the gaggle. So I think we can talk about how to gaggle fly and like the perspective of gaggle flying and some of the philosophical implications and the experiential implications of how you think about the gaggle. So anytime that we're gaggle flying, we're basically balancing two dualities of, we can call it thermaling and following. So thermaling, when you're on your own and you're thermaling and the lift gets stronger, you turn tighter and you try to core it, right? And when we're in a gaggle, we can't always core the lift because we're in this huge moving cloud of paragliders, and obviously, worst case scenarios, you crash into each other. And short of crashing into each other, you cut each other off and the other person has to like slam on their brakes or turn outside of the thermal, and then it just makes them not be able to track the climb as well. So you're actually like slowing the whole cloud down. So the proper perspective to gaggle fly is not where you're just competing for your own sake, but you actually want to fly your best to make the brain smarter. We call the gaggle the brain, right? This is a Nick Grease thing. He told me before my first competition, he says, Ari, don't leave the brain. You ain't smarter than the brain. And it's so true. It's like the times that you go away from the entire group thinking that you know better than everyone else, like are rare and important, but you got to respect the collective intelligence. And so on that note, we are like, as we are, let's say we're 40 of us and we're all in the same thermal and we're all tracking it and we're all trying to maximize our climb in it. We're trying to be efficient as possible. And we're also trying to not cut each other off so that we can all fly efficiently. We are creating a collective intelligence, and together we are flying the best that the 40 of us can fly. Okay, and so this is the important perspective. You don't want to fly in a way that makes only you succeed. You want to fly in a way that helps everyone fly better, which is not just following and staying out of everyone's way. If you're just following everyone and staying out of everyone's way, then you're not pushing the brain towards more success. You're not pushing the brain faster. You're just like trying to stay out of the way and you're keeping homeostasis. If you fly 100 meters outside of the gaggle upwind and find way stronger climb and start turning in it, the entire gaggle is going to move to you and start taking that stronger piece of climb. And it's in this way that when people fly their best, the rest of us can follow and we get a step up, we get a click up. And so it's this balance between thermaling and following. So you want to stay out of the way, but you also, if the lift is strong, like you need to core it so that the rest of the people can see that you're in the core and we can come to you and we'll all core it. So it's this delicate balance here. And like I said, we don't want to fly in a way that makes only us succeed. We want to fly in a way that helps everyone fly better and higher and faster. But at the same time, it's important to acknowledge our conditioning here on this type of thing. In America, we have more signs, lines, rules, and laws in our traffic system than anywhere else in the world. And what this does is it breeds this culture of taboo that's very strong. We have a incredibly strong like social norm that keeps our traffic working the way that it does. So a lot of people here where I live in Bend, Oregon, we have tons of roundabouts, which is pretty much a freaking gaggle. It's like a car gaggle. It's an incredibly apt analogy. And so a lot of people will be hesitant to enter the roundabout because they don't want to get in the way. But when it's their turn and they have a little slot that they can jump into and they don't take it, it slows everyone down. So staying out of the way doesn't necessarily keep everybody moving fast. You got to take the opportunities that you can. So when you're in the gaggle and you feel a strong piece of lift, you have to turn in it. You have to core it. At the same time, when you turn around and you core, you can't just like crash into other people, and you also can't just cut them off. You want to slow down And then as the next glider passes, you let your glider fly and you come in close behind the next person. So there's a minimum distance of safety that the gliders should stay from each other. And sometimes we go inside of that distance so that we can improve the brain. And then soon enough, we balance out our spacing once again. To go back to the traffic analogy, in traffic here, we have this like my right of way or don't get in my way, don't cut me off kind of like idea. And it doesn't lend us to gaggle fly very well because we kind of have this like, we're kind of ingrained here in Western culture with like a overly individualistic perspective of ourselves in the network of humanity. And that means that we get a little bit bent out of shape when someone kind of cuts us off or flies right in front of us or comes close to us. And if we actually just change our perspective to wanting people to fly the best that they can because it makes us all faster. So if they cut in front of us and we slow down a little, if we have to slow down to let them in, or if we have to fly fast to let them fly close behind us, whatever it is that we need to do to work together to make the whole thing go around, that's kind of the perspective that we want to start having when we're gaggle flying. There's a very close relationship between competition and cooperation here, because if we have the idea of competing that we want to fly our best, but we also are mature enough to hold the duality that we want to fly our best, but not at the expense of other people or their ability to fly their best, then we really start making the gaggle faster. So we want to fly our best without costing anyone else time or emotional energy by scaring them or freaking them out or hitting them or something. So it's just a really interesting thing. And the analogy of doing your best and following your intuition as closely as you can in a way that rises the tide for all boats is like such an incredibly important and forward-thinking way to behave in humanity. So as we all know, we've been stuck in this like rivalrous dynamic where it's zero sum, where like when I capture resources, they're unavailable for you. And this is like the rivalrous dynamic that has created the world that we live in, all of the inequity and all of the externalities and all of these different things. So to be using paragliding as a way to change our perspective of how we fit into the world and how we operate it's an exercise of thinking of my own success as a way to help the world succeed and help everyone succeed, as opposed to thinking about me beating you zero sum. Right? So this paragliding competition and this gaggle flying, I think that if we allow it, it can really change our perspective on how we think about our own success, how we think of the success of others, and how we lift each other up through our own following of our intuition, of our passions, of our dharma, of our life. So I hope that's helpful. Thanks for watching. Consider becoming a patron on Patreon. That's $5 a month. Really helps keep these videos going. I got some rad t-shirts coming out. Got some Airy in the Air stuff on the way. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next episode.